What if somebody is channeling something? What if somebody is actually having an experience that encompasses something bigger than what can be seen?
Yeah.
It's negated.
Yeah.
Treated as,
Absolutely.
And that ties into, sex and birth and death in this country, insofar as if anyone's having one of these experiences, we put them in a hospital and say you're sick, or
right.
we try and just turn away from it. We say we're not supposed to talk about that.
Well, see that's what defines or sets limits for culture. And then the important question then is this a culture that absorbs ideas or blocks them?
Uh-huh.
And one of the fundamental things that I see different between my country, Australia, and my adopted country, America, is that Australia is very, very absorbent because it's at the end of the world sort of thing. And Australians travel all over the world. They're very open to new ideas. So Australia is very good at collecting the best ideas from everywhere for sharing. They know they're for sharing, right? But in America, my experience in America often is that I'm living on the inside of an inverted disco ball. In other words, I'm living in a ball and all the mirrors are on the inside. So wherever I look, I get the same message. And very little comes from outside of the culture. Mm-hmm. So there's actually states in America. There's a state, I forget which one it was, just a few weeks ago, passed a law that the judges in that state, when they're considering a court case, cannot take into account opinions from the rest of the world. It's actually illegal for the judge to consider the rest of the world. And things like the healthcare benefit thing. And again, I have to use the word insanity, if not hypocrisy and downright lies, about the healthcare system, national health idea, right? And I forget, someone on TV pointed this out just so succinctly, is that there's over 30 countries in the world with nationalised health, including Australia, New Zealand, Canada, England. And America doesn't. America's health costs are twice all of those countries' health costs. Any one of those countries, it costs twice as much for health in America as it does in Australia or England or whatever. Yet all of those countries are healthier than Americans and live longer. So what this guy pointed out, he said, we could have closed our eyes, put our hand in a barrel and picked out the system any one of those countries used, and we'd have been twice as well off at least. We didn't have to figure it out.
Right.
It's been figured out 30 different ways, slightly different ways, and they all work better. No. Couldn't do that. Couldn't do that. I first saw this process with Congress back in the 90s, about 95 or 6 or something, maybe 2000, set up a 1-year study of the education system in America. And a year later, all these very, experts came together to report to Congress on the education system in America. And one congressman said, in your year of study, did you look at or visit any other countries to see how they do it? And the guy who led the study just looked horrified and said, why? We already know America's got the best system. We were just trying to improve it. And in fact, America's got is like 20th down the list, or about 20th for education in the world, or 10th. I mean, it sure isn't the best.
I think it's lower than 10th, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a real problem in itself. It's just that closeness, which comes from superpower arrogance. We're the best in everything. You hear it every day on television in America.
Yeah.
We've got the best penal system, the best justice system, the best this, the best education, the best this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that disco ball effect that you're talking
and it's all,
about. This is what reality
and it's just not
is.
true. It's arguably, evidentially
not true, right?
Exactly. Yeah, measurably not true. Yet it keeps being repeated.
Yeah.
Right? That's a fundamental cultural problem here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really want to make the comment, as an Aussie who has chosen to live here, I came here, as I said earlier, I came here because I really love America. I think it's an amazing place. And I haven't given up hope. I see there's massive problems. Yeah, massive. But they are solvable, maybe. Yeah, maybe. If everyone decides they're going to solve them and stop, instead of putting their energy into this, warring against everything to actually find common ground. And I've lived in San Francisco, and I've been to hunting camp with 20 good old boys in a log cabin in the woods in West Virginia, right? I've lived in the ghettos. I've seen I've lived in millionaire mansions in Aspen. I have been across, inside, burrowed deep into this culture. And when and I guess because I'm an alien, people are more willing to drop the politics and the religion and the ideology and connect as people. Yeah.
You're also an alien from a place where people are white and speak English.
And Americans love Australians.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I get a gold pass on that one. Oh, you're Australian, you must be safe. You must be trustworthy and you must be fun is sort of the response.
Right.
And that opens all sorts of doors for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I keep coming down to is when you get all over America, this is an amazing country. And Americans are amazing people. Not better than anyone else.
Right.
And very different to anyone else because it's its own culture. But fundamentally, people want to connect on that human level. Mm-hmm. And if that message, if there's some way for people to do that, then we can have people from, we can have right-wing Republicans from the South talking to left-wing radicals from San Francisco, and if they just sit down and talk about their goddamn kids and not their politics, we might get somewhere, Yeah. But that connection, it's like Sting had a song in the 80s, I hope the Russians love their children too. It's a great line. It's a great line. Because if we don't connect on that level of basic humanity, this country is going down the toilet faster than you can believe. Mm-hmm. Because there are real, fundamental, structural problems that are getting worse and worse and worse. One of them is that we're not looking at the problems. We're in denial of the problems. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And they're here. They're not going away. They're getting worse every year.
Yeah.
And the only way we have to look at them and be honest about that and admit that we're not perfect and admit that, we've made some terrible, terrible mistakes. That's not hating America. That's starting to heal America because it's not, until we can acknowledge what we've screwed up, we can't fix it. And whenever we deny that we ever screw up, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. That's how life works.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how life is not ideological, that's factual. If you don't address a problem, you can't fix it. And if you don't take responsibility for the fact that everyone somehow helped create that or allow that. Yeah? Wall Street didn't create the economic collapse. Everyone did. I went through the 1990s here, walking around saying to American friends, this is going to collapse, man. You can't have a free lunch forever. Mm-hmm. You can't have 20 maxed out credit cards. Yeah, and everyone's like, yeah, you can, see? And then when it comes down, it's like, what went wrong? Well, you're asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the answer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's part of what's exciting about this time, I think, is that people are undeniably going to have to face the sort of shit that is hitting the fan.
It's what they do with that, though.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that your piece about human connection, about stopping the constant banter about things that people aren't really looking at. They're just talking about in this meta, weird, disconnected way.
Fact is, there's a lot wrong in this culture. There's a lot going wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mistakes being made that are being perpetuated because they're being ignored.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want to know. Don't want to know. It's all too much. And it's almost, it's part of the whole thing that everyone works so hard and everyone's exhausted and everyone's kept in, and I say everyone, not everyone, huge numbers of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the vast majority, one way or another, are kept in a state of perpetual war. Yeah. And exhaustion and fear and uncertainty. And I've heard it 1,000 times from 1,000 Americans when I say to them, why aren't you politically active? And they say, dude, it's enough just to handle my life and my family and my job. I haven't got the time or the energy for anything else. That's a tragedy. That's a tragedy right there. Yeah? No time for the community, no time for the nation. That's sad, man. We've got to get back to good people coming together despite their ideology and despite their history and despite all of that crap, yeah, and just reconnect as you just did. G'day.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's it going?